some fathers are not only physically absent, but they are at times physically present but emotionally absent. The Sylvester Mashilo Foundation is now raising awareness about the absence of fathers. The founder of the foundation is running 670 kilometers in 27 days. Well, Mashilo says he's putting his body on the line in pursuit of a society that will not inflict a wound on our children's hearts. To tell us more about the foundation's initiatives, we're now joined by its founder, Sylvester Mashilo. Mr. Mashilo, very good evening to you. Thanks indeed for joining us. Welcome to The Globe.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, the role of absent fathers and its impact on children really is a burning issue in our society. What made you focus on it?
So as somebody who's a founder of the foundation, I share a personal story that resonates a lot with the realities of a lot of children, a lot of men in South Africa. I was born from rape, and I experienced some of the things that our foundation is trying to highlight, which is the absence of a father, and how that inflicts a wound on our hearts as boys who then become men who are still caught up in our childhood because we haven't gone through the experience of childhood. Instead, we are carrying trauma with us. So really, this is something that has touched me personally because I have personal experience of it.
You say that the absence of fathers impacts severely on the boy child. Can you describe some of these impacts?
Yes. So one of the things that as a boy, we wonder at a stage of being a boy, whether it's at the age of 15 and so on, the question is, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? And generally you will find that as boys, we model ourselves around our fathers. So we look up to them. You will hear boys say, I want to be like my dad. I want to drive a car like my dad, and so on. So the father plays a pivotal role in terms of giving almost an identity to the boy child. And where there is an absence of a father, whether physically or emotionally or even both, the boy is left with a question mark of, am I good enough? Because there is no affirmation of that boy child. And really it sort of contributes to the lack of identity, the lack of vision that we see in some men in our society. And you can trace back some of the violence that we've seen, like gender-based violence and femicide, to the lack of identity and men who themselves have been hurt as boys and have not found a way in which to process that hurt so that they are able to really be the type of men that society can be able to say, we are safe and we feel safe.
Right. Mr. Mashilo, when fathers are absent, it is often the role or the responsibility of the single mothers to raise their children single-handedly and oftentimes with no outside support. So what's the kind of challenges that single mothers face?
Speaking from the experiences of single mothers, our foundation has a threefold focus. One is the mentorship of boys between the ages of 8 to 16. Secondly, it's programs that promote positive manhood, so dialogues with men around manhood and challenging some of the stereotypes and being able to deepen our knowledge and be able to challenge some of those very embedded one-sided views that are not helpful to society. Thirdly, and most importantly, we have a network support program for single mothers. And this is what the single mothers say. They say, we do the best that we can. And they need to be applauded. They are doing a phenomenal job. But one of the things that concerns the single mothers on our program, because most of the boys on our program are raised by single mothers, is, am I doing what is in the best interest of this boy? Because I'm not a man, so I have no idea whether I am teaching him how to become a man with heart. And that is a question that has confronted them. And we've gone one step further and said, well, that's a question that confronts you, and it's a question that confronts most of society. Because statistics tell us that by the age of 18, over 61% of children in South Africa do not have an active biological father. So what we have done is inserted a role model in the form of an uncle who's a mentor to these boys to be able to walk a journey with them. And I mean, to typically answer some of the questions that boys have, but also to be able to give them emotional support, which they obviously need at different phases of their lives as boys.
Now, Sylvester, I understand that you're running 670 kilometers in 27 days. I mean, what's the significance of these numbers? What informed the decision to embark on such a tedious task?
So initially, I had planned to run from Johannesburg to Polokwane, Polokwane being my home city, my home province. And the significance was threefold. One, to raise awareness on the absence of fathers, something that obviously is a national pandemic in itself. Secondly, to raise funding for our boys mentorship program, which is our flagship program. But thirdly, symbolically, to hand over the baton to Polokwane, because next year we will be planting a program in Polokwane. But because of the level 4 restrictions, we are not able to run outside of the Gauteng province. So all 670 kilometers have been inside the province of Gauteng. Okay. But here's how the numbers have been formulated. 670, take away the zero. Madness, I just decided to add a zero. 67 representing the number of years that Tatas spend in service to humanity. It's important. We have seen some erosion to Tata's legacy, and we cannot let that happen. Yes. The run started on the 18th of July, which is International Mandela Day, and then 27 days, symbolic of 27 years that Tata spent in prison, fighting for rights that you and I today can be able to enjoy, and rights that we need to be able to protect, because our democracy was hard-fought. Yeah. But we know that the gains that we have made, there is so much more that still needs to be done. So that's the significance of the numbers. But one of the things for me was I am physically not in the shape to run 670 kilometers. I am not. But I was mentally ready. And I said, it takes courage to be able to run these kilometers. It's going to take a lot of brute force on my body. It's going to be painful, but the cost is worth it. These boys are worth it. And therefore, I have been willing to sacrifice my body, put it on the line literally, and say, you know what? It's the same courage that we are asking men to have in this country, to do that which they have never done before.
Wow, Sylvester, I'm absolutely astounded. And it is so exceptionally commendable that, your foundation will be focusing on such a vital issue in our society. And we certainly hope that you'll continue getting the support that you need, because as you've mentioned, this is a national pandemic on its own. Great chatting to you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, that was Sylvester Mashilo. Well, he's the founder of the Sylvester Mashilo Foundation and raising awareness about the absence of fathers here in South Africa.